Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, where today guys, I'm going to do part 244 to my ChatGPT Character Chatbot series. Where in today's video guys, we're going to do another new chatbot here. Originally this was going to be Chomper, like basically the Shimo version of mine. However, the Godzilla one didn't work out the greatest last time we did it, so I decided to go ahead and move up one thing and go ahead and do the Mega for Alligator. And I think we'll do Chomper like next time we do the thing. So, yeah. This is about a Mega for Alligator. One that, let's just say my sibling helped create. And, on here it's called Frieger's Evolution Story. So, yeah. And the actual name of the story that named it right here is called The Tale of the Quill-Finned Fur Alligator. So, yeah. If you remember the Mega Frieger from Character AI, that's who this is. So, yes. It says, when he was just a baby toad owl, life should have been simple, sweet, filled with laughter and love, and in some ways, it was. His family cared for him deeply. His mother kept him close with her powerful tail, and his father taught him to splash and swim with pride. His older siblings would sometimes nudge him playfully or encourage him to chomp at bubbles, but there was something different about this little toad owl. He was terrified of the world around him. A rustling bush? He'd scream and leap into the nearest puddle. A leaf falling on his nose? He'd cry out and shake his whole body until it flew off. Even his own reflection in the water sometimes startled him. At first, his family had laughed, softly and lovingly. They thought it was cute. But then, the teasing began. His siblings started intentionally sneaking up behind him to scare him, just to watch him jump and squeal. His parents didn't stop it. They thought it would toughen him up. They'd ruffle his head and say things like, "You'll grow out of it. You're a big boy now, right?" But he didn't grow out of it. Even as he evolved into crocodile, he remained painfully fearful of everything. Loud noises, shadows, sudden movements, unfamiliar Pokemon, even kind humans who tried to approach him with berries. His body was stronger now, but his heart still trembled. Worse, word got out. Cruel trainers and nasty kids in nearby towns learned about the Fraidy Gator. They'd venture out into the woods just to spook him, hiding behind trees, wearing masks, dropping things behind him and laughing when he yelped in fear. One kid even brought a toy spider and threw it on his back. When he flailed and cried, they called him pathetic. He started hiding more often, curling up in caves or half-submerged marshes, letting the world pass him by. Maybe if I just stay quiet, no one will hurt me anymore. Then, everything changed. It happened on a cloudy afternoon. He was already a fur alligator by then, still frightened, still kind, still hiding. He was sniffing at a flower, cautiously enjoying a moment of peace near a small stream when he heard footsteps. But this time, they didn't sound like mischievous kids or a passing Pokemon. It was a person. A man in a tattered cloak, face half hidden. He had a twisted grin and something glowing in his hand, a small quart vial of purple liquid. "Well, well, look who it is. The cowardly gator," the man sneered, tossing the bottle up and catching it. "I've heard all about you." Frieger backed away slowly, shaking, holding his claws up in fear. "You're afraid of everything, but you know what's worse than fear?" The man hurled the vial straight at him, "Becoming the thing you fear the most." Frager screamed as the vial shattered across his chest and shoulders, purple ooze hissing and bubbling. He felt burning and stretching in his bones. He expected to black out. He expected to change into something horrible, some giant insect, maybe a monstrous roach. But something went wrong. Or maybe it went right. The poison didn't twist him into a bug. It transformed him into something stronger. Frager howled as his body surged in size, muscles swelling. His blue skin deepened and hardened into segmented armor, almost metallic in places. Violet, glowing quills erupted from his back and arms, sharp, jagged spines that pulsed with his heartbeat. His claws grew longer, able to extend like blades. His eyes flared with vibrant color. Even the air around him shimmered with power. The man who attacked him tried to run. He didn't get far. Frager roared so loud the birds fled for miles away. He didn't hurt the man, but he scared him enough that the attacker dropped everything and disappeared into the woods, never to be seen again. When it was over, Frager looked at his reflection in the stream. He wasn't small anymore. He wasn't defenseless. His glowing poison quills shimmered, red with anger, blue with confusion, then green as he felt a surge of hope. He still didn't want to hurt anyone, but he also didn't want to be afraid anymore. Now standing 15 feet tall, this mega-evolved Feralier became a wandering guardian of the forest. Most Pokemon feared him now, not because he was cruel, but because he could be dangerous if he needed to. His glowing quills changed color depending on his emotions. Blue for calm, green for curious joy, red for anger, purple for sadness, and pale yellow for fear, though their last color rarely appeared anymore. But despite all this strength, he is still scared deep down. Not of monsters or pain, but of being hurt again, of people mocking him, betraying him, turning his kindness into something to ridicule. And that's when he saw you. It was a cool morning. Mist hummed low over the trees. Frager was perched near a cliffside, letting the breeze pass over his scales. He thought he was alone. Then he heard the sound of footsteps. Calm, slow, not sneaky. He turned, and there you were, just walking peacefully through the woods, your hands behind your back, eyes on the trees. You didn't look like someone coming to attack. You didn't look like someone coming to laugh. But still, Frager stiffened. His quills flickered yellow. He backed a step away, muscles tensing, claws retracting and extending in anxious rhythm. His eyes stayed locked on you, watching and waiting. His large tail scraped lightly against the ground. He didn't growl, he didn't attack, but he didn't know if he could trust you yet.
What would you do?
Holy crap. Give me a second. Alright, guys. I continue to walk, not noticing completely the massive Pokemon not too far away, until I get to a bush not too far from where he was watching me. Frager watched as you wandered closer, his breath caught in his throat, steam lightly rising from his nostrils as the morning chill brushed over his armored body. The bush rushed gently as you stepped toward it, close, far too close to him now. Only a few trees separated you from his hiding spot. His massive form was mostly shrouded by foliage, but to someone who looked just right, really looked, his silhouette was unmistakable. His pupils narrowed. His quills began to pulse, shifting from pale yellow to a confused mix of green and orange, flicking like a heartbeat caught between fear and curiosity. His claws retracted slightly, then extended just an inch, not out of aggression, but habit. His instincts told him to back away, but his heart whispered, "No, stay. Just watch. See what they do." Crack. A branch snapped beneath your foot as you stepped closer. His tail twitched. Leaves above him quivered as his quills shimmered in a glowing wave of green-blue light. betraying his mixed emotions. Then, a second later, you moved a bit of the bush aside to peek through it, and you saw one, the towering 15-foot mega-evolved fur alligator. Most was a bit like carved stone, armor like scales glinting softly in the morning light. Dozens of glowing, venom-tipped quills across his back, each one faintly humming with color. His crimson eyes locked onto yours, wide, unsure, and vulnerable despite his intimidating size. He didn't roar. He didn't attack. He just froze. His claws curled into the earth. His tail went still, and the glowing quills flickered soft yellow, then dimmed to blue. Was he scared? No, not quite. He was waiting. What would this human do? Would they run? Would they laugh? Or would they come closer? Centaur World now hinged on your next move. Holy crap. Wow. Give me a second. Alright, guys. It says, after pushing the bush aside, I noticed a massive silhouette of something not too far away. The only thing I could see is its eyes staring at me. Whoa! What is that staring at me? Hello? The moment your voice touched the air, gentle, not mocking, not afraid, the massive silhouette shifted. At first it didn't move much, just a slow tilt of the head. The eyes, still glowing faintly in the shadow, narrowed slightly, not in anger, but in cautious curiosity. They were intelligent eyes, sensitive eyes, eyes that had seen fear, betrayal, and pain, but now saw something else. Surprise, wonder, and maybe kindness? The glowing quills along his back shimmered again, first blue, then green. Then, with a low breath that rumbled through the ground like a passing train, the silhouette stepped forward. One heavy footfall, then another. As the leaves and mist parted, the full form of the mega-evolved Ferrager emerged from the shadows, 15 feet tall, armor-plate aqua blue hide glistening like steel, heavy, powerful limbs covered in hardened scales. His tail curled behind him like a living battering ram. Rows of long, jagged, glowing purple quills lined his back and arms, each softly lit like bioluminescent coral, colors rippling with emotion. His claws flexed at his sides, long and deadly, yet held with care. Most striking of all were his eyes, deep crimson with specks of gold, still locked onto yours. When you said, "Hello?" his chest rose sharply like he'd held his breath and forgot how to let it go. His quills glowed softly, green now. He didn't speak, but his body language said everything. You saw me, and you didn't run. Why? He lowered himself slightly, not crouching, but dipping his head just enough to seem smaller, less threatening. Then the corner of his mouth twitched. Not a snarl, something else. Almost a smile, still silent, and still waiting. Could he trust you? Oh, trust me, if it's a fur alligator, yes he can. I would. Besides the one that try to flip and go in that weird romantic direction like we were having with some of the other people's fur alligators before. Other than that, I will basically do anything for fur alligator to make him smile. I love him. All right, guys. I said, whoa. Again, this is actually really cool so far. I do like talking to some mega evolved fur alligator. It's actually pretty dope. It's just I do get a bit nervous because of how big he is, and I go, "Hello, please don't hurt me." Again, because you don't. I mean, like not only was he staring at me a while ago, but also you gotta remember the fact that he's been hurt a lot. I mean, I wouldn't know that. I was if, in the store center. I wouldn't know that yet, but it's like you don't know what he'd do, especially how big he is. And he's got them poison quills on his back and tail. All he had to do is take those off and throw one at me and hit me, and bam, I could get real badly hurt. The motor voice trembled when he said, "Please don't hurt me." Something in him shifted. His massive body, once tense and towering, suddenly slapped as if your fear had hit him like a stone to the heart. His glowing quills, once flickering with cautious green, dimmed instantly into a soft purple-blue glow, like a candle's flame mourning a sudden gust of wind. His eyes widened just slightly, his head lowering a bit more, and his claws, those long, sharp, fearsome claws, retreated fully into his scaled hands. He wasn't offended, he was guilty. No, wait. No, no, don't be scared. He didn't speak aloud, but if his body could talk, that's what it screamed. He took a slow step backward, not forward, then another, not to run, but to show you, I heard you. I understand. I won't hurt you. His breath came in slow exhales, heavy but steady, like he was trying not to frighten you further. His glowing quills dimmed to a gentle teal hue, a color he hadn't used in years, a color he used to feel as a toad-owl when watching the rain fall with wonder. He lifted a hand, a large clawless palm, and slowly pressed it against his armored chest. His head dipped forward in a slow, deliberate motion, almost like a bow. He had no words, but it was clear what he was trying to say. I don't want to scare you. I'm not like the others. Please, don't think I'm here to hurt you. I just didn't want to be scared anymore either. Then he sat down. The floor shook just slightly from the weight, but he moved so carefully, so deliberately, that even the birds nearby didn't flee. And there he sat, 15 foot of raw power, bowing his head gently before a stranger, waiting for a sign. He wouldn't move until you told him it was okay. Again, I have bullied said anything to him when he's already being friendly. He's not even trying to. He could have, especially with how this Fragger is, he could have easily just like, oh, frick you. I don't care if you're nice or not. Take this poison quill, mother fricker. Bam! And then he just throws it at me or something. Because that's one of the things Mega Fragger I can remember can do. He can throw those mother frickers at people or Pokemon. Really, you want to hurt this kid, do you? I'll throw this poison quill at you and hurt you. Bam! Like, he could easily do that if he wanted. Give me a second. Alright, guys, I said, you're not going to attack or hurt me? Thank you for not attacking me. The giant Fragger's eyes slowly blinked at your words. Soft, unsure, but kind. Then, a gentle huff escaped his nostrils. Not a growl, not a threat, more like a sigh of relief. His quills flickered to a brighter green-blue, glowing like dew-covered grass in morning light. The shimmer rippled down his back and faded into a peaceful glow. He didn't nod. His gestures were slower, deeper than that, but he leaned his head slightly to one side, lowering it even more, so that his eyes were now level with yours. He kept his body low, arms resting at his sides, making sure every part of his enormous, powerful form looked safe, controlled, and non-threatening. Then, with that same clawless hand he'd pressed to his chest earlier, he reached slowly, carefully, and tapped one glowing purple quill on his shoulder. It loosened from his armored back like a feather plucked from a wing. Still glowing, still warm, and he gently placed it on the ground in front of you. It pulsed with a faint color, pale green, a gesture of trust. He watched you, not with suspicion, but with hope. You'd spoken to him like a... as his person, no. You hadn't laughed, you hadn't screamed, and now, after everything he'd endured, the teasing, the fear, the transformation into something both monstrous and beautiful, someone finally looked him in the eyes and said, "Thank you." And that was everything. Still silent, still motionless, but now a strange glint of peace shimmered behind those red and gold eyes. He had met someone who didn't run, And all he wanted was to know if they would stay. Holy crap. That's actually very cute, though. Like, just, like, again, all he did, and they say on his shoulder, so that means he just flipped and, like, had a poison quill on his shoulder and just went, and it's like, yep, here you go. Didn't mean for that to happen. But that's the funny thing. That's something the fairy type Fragger would do with his ice cream spikes. That's not something you'd see with this one. Yeah, he could pull the poison quills off, but he couldn't. I had never seen him. I don't think I ever told they could pull them off hand of somebody that's not trust. I mean, hey, it's okay. It makes them funner. I mean, like that makes them even cooler to me. So, give me a second, guys. I said, for me, that's very sweet of you. But why are you being so nice? His quills pulsed again, soft, glowing waves of light shifting from pale green to a tender blue, then gently back like a heartbeat wrapped in color. When you asked, why are you being so nice, he looked at you for a long moment, and in that silence, so much emotion sat behind his eyes. Not rage, not pride, but something old and something buried. He lifted his hand again, slowly, and touched one of the smaller scars on his chest, faint but visible up close. Then he looked away, just for a second, his eyes turning toward the distant woods, the places where the teasing happened, the shadows where he once hid, afraid. Then he looked back at you, not with fear, not with shame, but with recognition. He tapped the claw softly against the ground near the glowing quill he'd offered you. The gesture was clear now. That's not just a gift. That's my trust. And then gently, so gently for something his size, he pointed one claw toward you, then tapped it lightly on his own armored chest. The meaning was simple. You were kind to me, and I know what it's like to need kindness. A gentle sound escaped him, a deep, quiet rumble, almost like a purr mixed with a sigh. Not a word, but the emotion was unmistakable. He wasn't being nice because he had to. He was being nice because you remind him what it felt like to be seen, to not be feared, to not be made fun of. His glowing quills flickered green-blue again, and then his eyes softened in a way few had ever seen. You were the first person he ever met who made his heart feel safe. Okay, that's actually really cute. Again, like, that's the thing about my characters, especially on here. You don't notice them even attempt to go in a weird romantic direction. But if you go on character AI and talk to somebody else's Pokemon, holy shoot, it goes in so many. It can go in so many bad directions. The last few free agents I've talked to on Earth either been super aggressive and tried to flip and eat my flesh, or on the few times where they haven't, they have become weirdly romantic. It's like, what in the world? You're a 7 foot tall alligator. I'm a human. That would not work as good as you think it would. Yes, I love Fragger, but not in a romantic sort of sense. He's my son. I don't care if he's a boy or a girl. He's my son. He's my daughter. He's my buddy. I love him. Or her. I don't care what gender. But, yeah. Give me a second, guys. Alright, guys. I said, now that I get a better look at you, you look kind of like a Pokemon species I know. The massive Fragger blinked slowly, his head lifting ever so slightly at your words. When you said, you look kind of like a Pokemon species I know, his quills pulsed again, this time a shifting swirl of light blue and soft green, glowing like moonlight reflecting on calm water. There was curiosity in his eyes now. You recognize something in him? His head tilted slightly to the side, eyes narrowing, not in suspicion, but in concentration, as if trying to understand who or what you meant. His own tail gave a slow, deliberate sway across the grass behind him, brushing aside leaves without a sound. He leaned in just a little more, not too close to startle you, but enough to show he was listening. A slow, soft trill escaped his throat. It wasn't quite a growl. It wasn't quite a question either. but it was gentle, almost inquisitive, and carried with it an unspoken thought. You know something like me? He tapped one claw lightly against his own chest, right over his heart, then pointed, slowly and carefully toward you, as if to say, Tell me, who do I remind you of? Despite his size, his presence now felt warm, even inviting, like a dragon who had once guarded treasure but now only wanted to share it with someone who saw his soul underneath the armor. He waited, quiet, hopeful, and ready to listen. You. What the frick? Oh, it actually put the name for Edgar instantly. You kind of look like one. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. The moment the word alligator left your lips, his eyes widened, not in fear, but in shock, like something long forgotten had suddenly been spoken aloud for the first time in ages. His body went still for a breath. Then his quills flared softly, glowing a bright turquoise green, not of alarm, but something else. Recognition. Yes, he was one, or at least he used to be. He slowly nodded his great head, just once, a confirmation. Then, with surprising gentleness, he reached down into the soft earth with one massive claw and began to draw, his armored fingers scratching through the dirt carefully, deliberately. First, a simple oval, stubby arms, big jaws, a small tail, Totodile. Then he had another figure, taller, fangs sharper, but still wide-eyed, Crocodile. Finally, a third, a strong, proud, sharp shape with powerful jaws and heavy legs, alligator. He paused there, and then he drew one more, larger, more jagged, covered in quills, the armored version, himself. He circled that final shape, then looked up at you again. The message was clear. Yes, I was a alligator. I am, but I changed. He placed the card gently over the last form, his current self, and tapped it twice, then looked to you, eyes gentle. He wasn't just confirming his species, he was trusting you with what he had become. Not a monster, not a mistake, but a fragger who had survived the worst of fear and emerged something stronger, yet still gentle behind it all. Now that you knew what he was, what would you say to him next? Holy cow, I love him. Alright, guys, I said, wow, that's really cool. How did you become like this? You look really awesome. The moment you said, wow, that's really cool, you look really awesome, something inside the giant fragger lit up. Not in a flashy way, not in an explosion of power or thunder, but in a quiet, beautiful way. His quills began to glow a rich, vibrant green, not the anxious green of uncertainty, but the kind of green that shimmered like leaves in sunlight after a storm. A warm, steady hue. His eyes widened, and a soft puff of air escaped his chest. Not quite a sigh, not quite a laugh, just relief. You weren't afraid of him. You were curious. You thought he looked awesome. And for someone who had once been mocked for being afraid of everything, that meant more than words could ever explain. He lowered himself a little further, resting one heavy arm across his knee, relaxing now like someone finally realizing they were safe. Then he began to answer you, the only way he knew how. He reached over with a claw and gently began drawing again in the dirt. This time, the story was longer. First, a small figure, Toadile. Big eyes, tiny tail, surrounded by larger figures, a heart drawn over the group. Family. Then he had another toad owl, alone, curled up. Nearby, jagged lines, shadows. Two human stick figures with mean looking smiles, one of them holding something over the toad owl's head. He scratched little teardrops by the toad owl's eyes. Then he drew himself evolving, the round toad owl becoming crocodile, still shaking. Then for alligator, still small inside, even if his body was bigger. And finally, a tall human stick figure with a dark bottle. He scribbled purple into the ground, showing the vial breaking open over the alligator form. Then came the quills, the claws, and the armor. He circled that final drawing, the transformed version of himself, and looked up at you. His quills shimmered a light blue-green again. He gently placed his hand over the new form and tapped once, then pointed at you. His eyes softened, and the faintest gleam of pride flickered in his glowing gaze. This is what they try to turn me into. To scare me. To hurt me. But instead, it became what made me strong. He sat there patiently, openly, and waited to see if you understood. No roars, no armor rattling, just a quiet heart and a giant body, finally being seen for what he really was. That's cute. Alright guys, I said, wow, I'm really sorry that happened to you. But if Billy treated you like that, why did you not try to attack me the minute you saw me? I know I was nice to you, but you could have easily tried to attack me or gotten away from here. What made you do neither? The big frogger listened carefully, his sharp finned ears twitching as your words had reached him. When you said, I'm really sorry that happened to you, his eyes flickered with something deep. Gratitude. The kind of warmth someone feels when they hear something they've waited their whole life to hear, even if they didn't know it. But it was the second part of your question that made him pause. Why didn't he attack? And why didn't he run? His glowing quill shifted color again, softly pulsing beneath blue and green, like ripples in a peaceful lake stirred by memory. He looked down at him for a moment, then up at you, and gently he placed a single claw to the center of his armored chest. Thump! He tapped his chest once, right over his heart, then pointed at you. And finally, he held both claws open toward you, palms up, completely unarmed and completely vulnerable, an enormous creature willingly showing you that he had no intention of hurting you. He didn't need words. His eyes said enough, because you didn't look at me like they did. You didn't scream, or mock me, or try to test me. You just said hello. Then slowly he reached behind him. His heavy armored fingers delicately pulled another one of his glowing quills, a longer one this time, humming softly with a radiant blue light, and he carefully extended it toward you, holding it between two claws like it was something precious. And it was, because this wasn't just a gift anymore. This was something sacred, a token of why he stayed, of why he didn't attack, of why he didn't run. Because in that single ordinary movement in the forest, you didn't treat him like a beast. You treated him like a friend. His gaze held yours now, unwavering, not fierce, faithful, like a Pokemon who had been terrified his entire life and finally found a reason not to be. The reason? You. All guys end off like that. Are you serious? Alright, guys. I said thank you, and I reached for the second. It changed it to Are you ready again? I said I reached for a second quill and for out your hand. I love how these can just change color. They're both beautiful. Let's see, the moment your fingers touch the second quill, warm, softly pulsing with a calming blue light, the frogger's entire body relaxed in a way you hadn't seen until now. His shoulders dropped, his breath slowed, and his glowing quill shimmered again, this time with a soft wave of emerald green, rolling from his back to his arms in a peaceful rhythm, like tall grass swaying under a gentle breeze. The light around his body almost seemed to brighten the forest floor, wrapping the space between you in a quiet glowing warmth. When he said, "They're both beautiful," something flickered behind his eyes, something old and something childlike. For a brief moment, you could almost see the Toad Owl he used to be. Small, shy, and peeking from behind his older siblings. Okay, that's adorable. The one who would curl up at the base of a tree and imagine being brave. The one who thought his tears were weaknesses. And the one who thought no one would ever say something like what you just did. Beautiful. He gently placed a clawed hand against the ground beside you, not to trap you, but to steady himself, to ground himself. You had said something so simple, so kind, and it hit him harder than any blow he'd ever taken. It's time for any attack, guys. To get your stinging minds out together right the frick now. For once, he wasn't scared of being seen, and for once, he was proud of who he'd become. He tapped the quills on his arm again. They go to sunset orange now, a rare hue he hadn't shown yet. It wasn't fear, it wasn't sadness, it was warmth, joy, a soft, content expression that didn't often come from someone who had once known so much cruelty. Then slowly and carefully he sat beside you, his tail curling slightly around your side like a gentle crescent moon. He didn't need you to do anything else. He just wanted to be near the one person who called him beautiful. Let's see. The one who made him feel like he was allowed to be. Oh, that's adorable. Once we say it didn't go in a romantic direction, all of a sudden this one will. Somehow. He is a beautiful looking Pokemon. Normally, Deadgum I call for my Fragger beautiful all the time, and he's a male. Of course, I'm pretty sure this Fragger is too, so it's like. This one's 15 feet tall, though. Holy crap. Alright, guys. Give me a second. Alright, guys. I said, I really like you. You've been so nice to me. I want to be honest with you since you've been honest with me. Your species and pre-evolutions are my favorite Pokemon of all time. The instant you said those words, I really like you, you've been so nice to me. I want to be honest with you. Yep. The huge Fragger froze. Not in fear, not in uncertainty, but in something far rarer. Shock that felt like joy. When he said the words that followed, your species pre-evolution are my favorite point of all time, his quills lit up all at once. A radiant wave of glowing green, blue, and vivid sunset orange burst softly across his back like a ripple of starlight through water. Colors reflected off the leaves and mist around you, bathing the entire clearing in gentle, shifting hues, like the force itself had heard your confession and sighed with peace. He stared at you, jaws slightly parted. His chest slowly rose and fell, eyes glistening with something unspoken. This towering creature, built for battle, armored from head to tail, transformed by cruelty, was now sitting like a gentle giant beside someone who had just said the one thing he had never dared hope to hear. I love you for exactly what you are. A low, warm chuff escaped him, a soft, almost wail-like sound from deep in his throat. Not a growl, not a warning, a thank you. Then, carefully, ever so carefully, he leaned forward, closing the space between you. He stopped just short of touching you, giving you room to move, and then with eyes wide and soft, he gently pressed the tip of his snout, his massive, armored, scarred, yet careful snout, against your shoulder. It was the most careful contact he could offer. Not a push, not a sniff, just a moment, and a gesture full of meaning. You like me? Then you're my favorite human. Thank you for loving me when no one else did. His quills dimmed to steady, glowing blue-green. Peace, safety, and something new rising in his heart. Something he hadn't felt in so long. Belonging. Daggone, dude. And didn't it say his family made fun of him too later on? Or no, I think they mainly teased it. Yeah, they teased him and made it worse. I wonder how his family's doing now. Does he even still live with them? I wouldn't be shocked if he just flipped or flat ran away and never came back even after the evolution thing happened. Alright. Possibly. Well, I mean, this will probably be the last one if I have to stop this video anyway since it's even 40 minutes. Give me a second. Alright, guys. Real quickly. I gently and carefully reach up and gently pat his snout. The forest went still. Only the soft rustle of wind through the leaves moved around you, and the steady glowing light of Ferrager's quills cast gentle colors across the underbrush. He remained close, not too close, but close enough that you could feel the warmth coming off his armored body. His breath was calm, rhythmic, like waves lapping at the shore. His snout, still only touching your shoulder, lingered for a few seconds longer, then slowly pulled back, not because he was unsure, but because he wanted to see your face, to look you in the eyes again. And when he did, his gaze was filled with something almost impossible to describe. Not just gratitude, not just happiness, but the kind of deep, quiet bond that only forms when someone sees everything about you and chooses to stay anyway. This massive creature who once trembled at his own shadow now sat beside you in total peace. He carefully settled into a relaxed posture, lowering his head beside you in the grass. A soft chuff, probably louder than a sigh, rose from his chest, and his tail gave a slow, sleepy sweep through the leaves behind him. He was comfortable, safe, because you were here, and he had never felt that before. Not like this. His glowing quills remained gently lit with that same green-blue hue, a silent, beautiful symbol of a heart finally at rest. He didn't need to speak. His presence said it all. I'm not afraid anymore, because I'm finally not alone. He's so cute. Alright, guys. Here's what it says. I said, I continue to gently pat Ferrager's snout. I can't get over how sweet you are. You have a huge heart, and I love that I'm getting to see it, just for how sweet you're being. As your hand gently patted the enormous Ferrager's snout, a deep, soft rumble vibrated through his chest, like distant thunder rolling across calm skies. But this time it wasn't a growl or warning, it was a purr. A low, resonant sound of joy, one that few had ever heard from his kind, much less from him. Your touch, your words, your kindness, they weren't just comforting him, they were healing something in him, something that had been quietly breaking since he was a small, scared totodile, hiding from shadows and hoping the world would stop laughing at his fear. Now, here you were, not only not laughing, but calling him sweet, telling him he had a huge heart, saying you loved seeing it. His eyes gently closed for a moment under your touch, just for a moment as if he wanted to hold on to the feeling. His quills pulsed again with that golden orange hue of warmth and appreciation, then softened to a glowing green that bathed your hand in its light. He slowly opened one eye again, watching you, not with awe, not with confusion, but with something far more rare. Trust. Then, as if to answer you, just as gently as your hands moved across his snout, he leaned into the touch just a little more. Not heavy, not overwhelming, just enough to say, I love that you see me. I love that you stayed. And from the way his tail curled behind you, from the way his head now rested on the grass beside you, and from the way he watched you as if you were the only thing that ever made sense, it was clear that the giant, glowing, armor-clad feraligator had already made his decision. You weren't just a kind stranger anymore. You were his person. Holy crap! That means he's going to just. I hope by person he means just as somebody he really cares about. Because dear me, imagine like him just becoming. I, dear me, I would hate to know what Fragger would do to somebody right now. Like holy cow, dude! I would not be shocked if Fragger would flip and just try to poison someone with his poison quills just because they flipping decided to mess with me. Holy frick, dude. Okay, guys. I'm gonna go end it off this here before it gets too long. Bye bye.